Shaun Urwin on the call. They are new construction and top producing realtors from the Boise area. They work for 43 Degree North and of course themselves because they're independent contractors. Let me just tell you a little bit about both of them. Lisa actually was born and raised in Idaho, which is rare because as we know here in Utah, and I know it's happening in Idaho too, most people are for somewhere else, it seems like sometimes, right? But she's very passionate about the magnificent state of Idaho. And she genuinely loves people. She has a high level of integrity, and polished communication and sophistication has made her a powerful asset to any client that she has. She began her career in new construction, new home building and land development. She doesn't view buying and selling real estate as merely a transaction, but an opportunity to build a valuable relationship by using her ingenuity to assist her clients in fulfilling their goals and dreams. And then she kind of ends she does all sorts of great stuff, camping, fishing, hiking. We could hang out, Lisa, because I love those things myself. You know, I became a hiker about 2 summers ago, and I just love it. I'm not really somebody to hike to the top of a peak, but I love those, like, 5-milers. Those are fine. But she says there's no better place than to call home. Shaun has been around since before we call before the crash, 2004, and he started working with Blackstead Building Company selling homes for John Scott in Southwest Boise. He worked on several communities, new construction communities, and switched over to the Hazelwood Village communities in 2008 to a more affordable product, I would imagine, during the crash time. And then he's developed long-term relationships. One of the things I admired about his bio was he's developed lifelong relationships with the other MLS realtors in the community. He goes above and beyond to serve them and their clients. And I believe that that's probably huge to his success, because I think networking with the other agents, no matter with our company or with somebody else, is important. He strives every day to earn the trust with everyone he works with and auto. And then one of the things he ends it with is he says, building trust through product knowledge is my motto, but building relationships as dreams is really what it's all about. My parents taught me, and thanks, Mom and Dad. And it's always nice to have a legacy with family there. So welcome to everybody on the call. We are recording this. Jake Sawyer with Fairway Mortgage is our tech guy, so he's in the background. If we have any issues, he'll step in and step up. I'm so grateful to have both of them joining us. We can always learn from each other, but I feel like when you get to the level of production that Lisa and Shaun, I believe that they do certain things that a lot of people are either unwilling or maybe don't know what to do. And so I'm grateful for them being willing to share their knowledge. We sent them some pre-questions, and then at the end or in the chat box at any point, if you have a question, and I'll be watching the chat box, just go ahead and type it into the chat box. Or if you'd like to ask a question, you can just text me on my phone, and or at the very end, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. The first question I have is, how did you build a listing-based business? Because a lot of times people have a hard time getting listings. So it sounds like it was through new construction, but I'm sure you've got people who sell their homes in order to buy new construction. So tell us about that.
So how we'll answer these is, so Shaun and I operate, we're very divide and conquer. So we work together as a team, and we're full business partners, but we also divide and conquer a lot. So there's a lot of things I handle and a lot of things he handles. So we'll actually both be answering these questions, because you'll notice that we probably have different answers on how we do things. So to begin with, at the very beginning, when I first started selling real estate, how I got listings was honestly doing open houses. I volunteered for open houses left and right. Anything I could grab. I just was like, put me in, coach. I didn't know how else to do it. I just wanted to meet people, and I felt like my sphere, I feel like spheres are a great place to start, but for me, I was noticing when I started reaching out to my sphere that they were all my friends and family, and they knew I was brand new, and they're like, I'm not going to use you. You don't know what you're doing. So the only way for me to really pretend, I guess, like I knew what I was doing was to meet new people that had absolutely no idea how long I'd been in real estate. So I just started doing open houses like crazy, and every single person that walked into an open house was an opportunity for me. And whether they were looking to buy now or whether they were looking to lose, and I just had to maintain a relationship until they were ready to buy down the future, or in the future, I found that most people have a home to sell before they're ready to buy a new one. And so I started getting listings by picking up buyers. And it was all through open houses. 80% of my business, my first year of real estate, was done through open house lead generation. And I ended up selling 7.8 million in my first year. So it was obviously extremely successful to be able to do those open houses, connect with those people, and get buyers and listings from that. Now it's a little different, because now that I've got more of an established business, my listing business comes from a little bit of a different place. It comes from past clients, tons of past clients. So maintaining those relationships, I cannot stress enough. It is so important. I get so many referrals from clients that I've helped, and I get repeat clients. And so being able to maintain those relationships and stay top of mind even after the deal is done has proven to be very successful. And then also, and this will kind of segue into what Shaun's probably going to talk about, is we do a lot of new construction. And with that new construction, we have people coming into our communities, and a lot of times before they can build a new home, they have a home to sell. And because we're new construction specialists, we know how to navigate the difficult transition between selling an existing home and then what happens during that process until their new home is finished, and how we can manage that process for them and give them comfort during that time. And so being able to have that knowledge really gives us a leg up to be able to say, yeah, we're the best person to list your home if you're going to build new, because we can help you navigate through this very, not every resale agent is going to know how to handle that very complex relationship between buying and building new, if that helps.
Definitely. So there was a couple of things you said. So just the last thing you said, that complex relationship, I mean, I've helped people build. Some people sell and they move in with family, while the building's going on. Some people try to wait and sell at the last minute. So what do you recommend? Like how do you do that?
I'll agree on this. This is what it scares her. I'm kind of known as, and I've always said, I'm like the anti-realtor. I do everything opposite than anybody else tells me what to do. And so it's worked out pretty well.
He does. I have to babysit him a lot.
Yeah, I am. Jeff's always looking at me going, your guys' new office is right next to me, so I keep an eye on Shaun.
Even though he's never here.
Well, really what we do, especially when buyers are coming in from out of state and they have a home to sell. And most everybody does. And so what we're, the builders that we have, which we have 20 plus builders, and we've got 4 developers, we've got a dozen communities out there that we manage, and we don't have a large team. We have a pretty small team. But what I've kind of put into it in the last 3 years is that when a buyer comes in and they're looking at the semi-custom custom builders that we represent. We don't represent any production builders. So the production basically are spec builders. And we've got some builders that are only going to do specs, but we have a handful of just amazing rock star guys that work with us and me as like a family. And we have so much fun, and we trust bringing the buyers in, or if it's an agent bringing buyers in, which that's most of our deals. But we try to be like building therapists, to where it's like we of the buyer, and we take them through the homes, and a lot of times we don't even have finished products, so we've got to go through homes that are under construction, or we've got to talk to homeowners that have already closed on their homes, and most of them are like, yeah, we'd love to show our home, we're proud to show our home. That's a good sign of a good builder. What we'll end up doing is, with the price point that we're playing in, because I used to play in the higher end stuff, like the 800s, 2 million, and it's really different buyer.
It is.
Most of them are a lot more. So, I mean, and they expect that. There's a lot more commissions involved in everything. But we're in that 300 to 600,000 range in most of our communities. And so it's all about relationships, and the relationships that we have with our builders, which are our clients, with our developers, which are our clients, and with the MLS agents and their buyers, which are our clients. When it comes down to it, what we try to set the precedent is hey, perfect scenario for you guys. As long as you don't come in and you want to do a build job and say, we're about 5-6 months to do a build with all of our builders from start to finish. And that's from, first contact design, then get it through permits, and then we're about 3 to 4 months from breaking ground to finished product, and like that. And so what we try to do is say, here's the perfect scenario for you. What if we get this into contract, and we pretty much only have people put about 5% down, and 5% down, if you don't come in and you change that plan all over the place and make it custom, then the builder and us, we all have that confidence that worst case scenario, you don't get your home sold before the home is finished, then we're going to sell that thing and we're going to give you your earnest money back. And so it's skin in the game, but then at the same time, and that's only happened one time, we gave the earnest money back, and then they ended up coming back a month later and did the same thing, and we closed on it. And so it's trust.
Right.
And you build those relationships, and a lot of times the MLS agent is involved, and they're like, they're sketchy. They're like, how do we do this? And there's some of these deals we have to do, and this is where I get in trouble, is we do a handshake because because I like to show this.
Do not listen to him. No,
okay.
This is just, she wants you to train people how to do things right.
Okay, so all about trust. And when I've been in it for 16 years, and so I have a lot of MLS agents out there, that they've had such a great experience with me or with the people that I work with, that they come out of the transaction, then they're like, we're bringing you every new construction buyer every time. When they have something, they call us first, say, what do you have? Because we have that unfair advantage to be able to cross-sell with multiple same builders in other communities. If somebody comes, I have this here, but I don't like this location. Well, guess what? We have this here, 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 here. And so we built this kind of like empire in a way to where it's just so easy to be able to do that and bring a value and an opportunity to pretty much everybody, especially
so
in that
as
price
far
point.
as like listing goes, like the timeline for that, if we're handling the listing, we have certain ways we like to do it. If we're coaching the MLS agents who are bringing us their clients and they're going to be listing that buyer's home, one thing that I've noticed that's really super successful is to put the home on the MLS right at the beginning with a lease back clause in there, so that you say, okay, these buyers need a lease back until their home is finished. If it does, not everybody can do a lease back, but I actually find that a lot more buyers can do lease backs than you think, because we have a lot of people coming in and maybe they got a new job and they've got 3 months of temporary housing before they have to find something or whatever, right? Or their family is still buttoning up some things at home and then whatever. So I find that we actually have a lot more buyers who do lease backs than you would probably imagine. So it's very successful to be able to do that, so that they can buy the home, they close it, and then the seller leases it back from them until their home is finished. If we don't find a buyer that can do a lease back, then usually about 60 days before the home is finished, I'll remove the lease back clause, and I'll actually remove the listing from MLS altogether, because by then I feel like it's gotten just maybe a little stale. So I'll remove the listing from MLS altogether. I'll let it reset for 24 hours. I'll maybe take some new photos or just rearrange the photos. I'll rewrite the marks. I refreshen it up basically. And then I put it on the market so that it kind of spurs as new without that lease back clause in there, because you can usually work out something within that 60-day time period. If we get an offer in the next week or two, it looks like a brand new offer, it gets all new energy again, and then we're able to kind of negotiate timelines and closings and things like that. And it's a lot easier to maybe negotiate a week lease back versus 3 months or something to that effect. So that's kind of the method that I found to be super successful when people that are building, is to right off the bat, like try to give them as much time as possible by trying to find them a lease back buyer.
That's a great idea. I think with the shortage of inventory, I think you guys are the same as we are. A lot of buyers are willing to do a lot of things.
They are, yeah.
Lately, right now, for existing homes, buyers are willing to let the seller stay in the home 30 days after closing, 60 days after closing for free. So that's one of the things we're doing to negotiate here. So lease backs, definitely. So I have Marino Talados. He's our principal broker that I told you guys about earlier. He's got a question for you. He's on the line.
Awesome.
Marino. Hopefully he's here. Maybe he's having a hard time unmuting himself. All right. So Shelly, why don't we go ahead and go with your question?
Unmute myself. So hello, my question is, and this might apply more to when you started out in the business, is when you did have those listing appointments, what were the key things that you did to get the listing? What do you feel helped you the most?
Okay, so I can't say be genuine. Be yourself, be genuine. I feel I have won a lot of listing appointments against other agents. You know, I've got somebody that's saying, come give me come take a look at my home and give me a CMA. I've got other agents I'm interviewing. And later, when I have won the listing, I always ask, why did you pick me? And they're like, I just felt like you were real. And too many times I think that people get really caught up in like either trying to give them what they want or be perfect or give this perfect presentation or, you know, instead of just going in. So what I do, I try really hard not to prepare a listing presentation because I think that it comes across stuffy. And keep in mind, I think that everyone has their own way of doing things. There's not a right or wrong. This is just what I have found has worked to be very successful for me. So I don't come in with like a fancy binder or a presentation on an iPad or anything like that. And I'm not dissing those things. It's just not what I do. So I show up completely raw with nothing. I've got basically a printout of the assessor's office records so that I know the square footage and the bedroom count and things like that. And that's it. I don't pull comps before I go to the listing appointment because I don't want to have a preconceived idea of pricing before I even see the subject property. You know, anybody can go on MLS and say, oh, it's this many square feet, this many bedrooms. But until you see the property, you have no idea how to appreciate or depreciate that home against those comparables. All you have are just the numbers, and that is not the adequate way to price a home. You have to see it. And so I explain that to them. So I show up and I just say, here's what I do. I want you to sell me your home. I want you to take me around your house and I want you to tell me the pros and the cons, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything you've done to make it better, everything that you feel like could make it better. I just want you to show me your home. And I explained to them that I didn't pull comps before I came. I have no preconceived idea of value or anything like that. And so I let them present their home to me and I just ask a lot of questions. Anything, you know, how old is that furnace? You know, anything that you think of during this time that the seller is presenting their home to you, you ask them. And then during that time, I give them just a little bit of feedback. I don't do a full listing preparation consultation at that time because those can take a long time, but I do just kind of give them a little bit of pointers like, hey, you know, we'll want to talk about how to stage this room, or we're going to want to, you know, this might be a room that we need to focus on, or this room looks pretty close to being ready to go. So I'll make those kind of little pointers that there's some work to be done. And then what I do is I let them know, okay, I'm going to go pull some comparables. I've got, you know, the information that I need on your home. So I go home and I pull the comparables and I put together a CMA, and my CMAs, I've got 2 of them. So I do like the fancy one with all the pictures and it's got all the graphs and it's got all the everything. And then I do just a really raw Excel file that's like, here's the comps, here's the raw data, here's your subject property, here's how it all compares. I average it all out. And so that way, if you've got the people that need pretty, or if you've got the people that just need data, I send them both. And then I set up another appointment to come back over. And with that appointment, we go over their comps, we go over the pricing. I always ask them where I think, I should have mentioned this before, in that first initial appointment, I always say, what do you think your home is worth? Because I want to know where their heads are at, right? And so if I can't hit their price point, then I need to be able to be prepared in that second appointment to be able to explain why I can't hit the price point that they feel like they want to be at. If I've exceeded that price point, then I know I'm walking in wearing a cape and I'm a hero. So, you know, it kind of changed, knowing that information kind of drives how I'm going to approach that second meeting. That second meeting, then I just start acting like their agent. Honestly, like that is how I do it. I just start acting like their agent. I pretend like there's no other agent that they're interviewing. I don't really give a crap. I'm your agent. I've done this for you. Here's where we're at. Here's what I'm going to do for you. And it works. I'm telling you, you just start acting like their agent. And the next thing you know, they're like, yeah, you're my agent. So I just walk in and I give them a consultation and I say, okay, we go room by room, detail by detail, take that picture down, move that chair over here. You know, I go through the whole staging process on how they need to prepare their home to list. I take detailed notes during that time, and I go home and I type all those up and I email those to them so they have a to-do list. And I think that it works really well because I'm just myself. I'm interested in them. I don't have a stuffy presentation. I don't even let it faze me that they're interviewing other agents. I just automatically assume I'm their agent and we move forward. And honestly, it works 99.9% of the time.
This is actually the reason how Lisa and I got partnered up. Is I don't, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the first time we met, I knew there was something with her right there. I was like, okay, this chick's she's got some skills. But I, just being so busy in new construction, I don't have time and the effort for outside listings. And I just can't focus on it. My presentation would be like, hey, here's some costs from MLS. Here you go. Take a look at this. What I think that you go for. And so I would have her, so I would refer out my listing clients to her. And she would take those over, and then we just started going from there. And then
we figured out we actually liked each other.
We liked each other. She had prior development knowledge, and you know, with putting developments together. And then I got a development from an outside entity that we needed to put together, and she took it and ran, put CC&Rs together, put all the stuff together. Where I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And so we went through that, and then we just ended up saying, you know what are we doing? It's like, I mean, I'm building my new construction side so much that there's no way that I can keep up. And the thing that I did for started 2004, we got together in 2018, is I never would follow up on any of my prior sales for that many years.
Oh yeah.
That's in the thousands.
It'll make you sick how much money he's lost by not following up.
I'm his special project. Basically, he's like, you have no idea how much money you have left on the table. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know, but there's no way I could have done it. I didn't know how. I mean, I've always been a kind of a control freak where I do everything myself, you know, and I've been blessed with a photographic memory, but I'm blind. So, I mean, I can't, you know, I don't do any emailing usually. I'm not a texter. I'm face to face and I'm on the phone. And that's how I keep everything together. Right. And I don't take note. Our personal assistant, Lisa, our transaction coordinator, they basically take me probably twice a week, and then either on the phone or sit me down and are like, okay, let's go through everything, pick your brain, and then go from there. And then I could go about my business and stuff. But that's where, on the listing side, that was the thing I saw, and I'm like, yep, that's her. That's her.
But yeah,
that's great.
The point would be just start acting like their agent from day one. You'll be amazing.
Yes, definitely.
Not in your head. Yep, I'm your agent. They're going, yep, you're my agent.
Yep.
So
that's great. That's great. So I have Jen Affleck on the call right now. She's going to go ahead and ask you guys a question. Okay.
Okay. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know how these things work. Anyway, what's the one thing you would suggest to any agent to build their business? If you could pick one thing.
You want to go first?
There you go.
I go first? Okay. I would say, say yes to everything. Just honestly, until you figure out if you're a brand new agent and you have no sales and you need to get started, you just say yes to everything. Hey, you want to work the painted homes? Yes, I do. Hey, you want to do my open house this weekend? Yes, I do. Hey, you want to go open this house for me? Yes, I do. Get out there, get in front of people. And I think what is really hard for new agents, and I do quite a bit of mentoring and coaching of new agents in our office. And what I have found is they're like, I can talk to people, but then I don't know how to ask for their information, or I don't know how to, get that, like, I don't know how to follow up after I've talked to them, or I feel cheesy, or I feel, whatever. And the only way to get over that is to keep doing it over and over and over until it doesn't feel awkward anymore. And I remember the very first open house I ever sat in, and these people walked in and we were jiving, and I was like, yeah, this is great. And then all of a sudden I got like this nervousness swept over me because I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, this is the point where I asked for their contact information and I don't know how to do that. And so I started kind of like shuffling my feet and I was like, so, you want to give me your phone number so I can like, call you and show you houses and stuff? And they start inching towards.
That's a lot of agents' biggest fear.
Right.
I think it is, especially the new
Yes.
agents.
And they start backing up towards the door and I notice them backing up, and she's like, we'll call you. How about we just take your card? I'll call. And I'm like, man, I bombed that. And if I would have taken that experience and I felt so uncomfortable and I kept replaying that over in my head. And I was like, I was terrible. That was awful. But the only way to get over that is to keep doing it until it doesn't feel uncomfortable anymore and until it just feels natural. And now I can get somebody's contact information without even, there's not even a moment that I realize like, oh, this is the moment. It just naturally flows,
there's things you can have where, it's all about adaptability, I think, especially when people come in. You have different personalities. You get them. I have the Clifton Strengths, and her and I have four of the same top five Clifton Strengths, Gallup Strengths. And first one is woo, when there's over. We have maximizer, adaptability, includer, and positivity. I think you have the communication side or whatever that is, which not communication, but like
strategy.
Yeah, strategic. Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is just, pick them out. I mean, if they've got being in Boise, they got a Boise State shirt on or a hat on, you start talking about the Broncos. You do something to just make yourself be
relative,
not a real estate agent,
relatable.
just a person. And
Yes.
if you're able to do that, that helps a lot. But my number one thing, answer your phone.
Oh
Answer
my gosh.
your
Answer
phone.
your phone.
And I mean, I make
That
it
is
awkward.
so true.
I can make it awkward for anybody because I take my phone and I put it on top of the shower and I've answered my phone in the shower hundreds of times. People are like, "Are you in the shower?" I'm like, "Yeah." Because it just comes down to you answer your phone and when I know everybody in this valley and I've been recruited by KW and their whole thing of how they say, well, no, you never answer your phone when you're with clients.
My
you
business
never
hours
do
are
this.
8 to 5.
My business hours are 8 to 5. I
I'll
mean,
return your phone
a
call from 3 to
buyer,
6.
a prospect gets that and they're like, well, they're just too busy for me. I'm going to get somebody else. I've never had anybody ever be upset at me for answering my phone when I'm there because that's thousands of dollars that you could lose. And if you don't do it, people nowadays, they want instant gratification. If you don't answer your phone, they're going to the next person.
We have
They're going to the next
6,000 agents in this Treasure Valley.
Yeah.
6,000 agents. That is insane. Insane. And so if you do not answer your phone and they dial another number, there's 6,000 other agents that might answer their phone and you've lost them and you can lose them in a matter of minutes.
It's answering your phone for MLS agents that are calling in your listings because they're out there looking for new construction. Mm-hmm. There's other competition out there, and I get it all the time. And especially like on a weekend where an agent will be like, "Oh my God, thank you for answering your phone. I just called 5 other agents, and they didn't answer their phone." And I said, "Well, hopefully I get your business." And they remember that. So answer your phone.
As a new agent, like what I did is I made a decision that I was going to, always answer my phone.
Which I just didn't answer my phone.
I was going to call 10 people a day, and I was going to say yes to everything. Not one weekend was going to go by where I wasn't sitting in an open house. Not one day was going to go by that I didn't do something that was going to build my business, whether it was working on my social media or working, whatever it was. You cannot be a brand new agent and waste a day. You can't do it. You have to maximize every moment of every single day until you are established. So you say yes to everything. You look for every opportunity. You put yourself out there. You do it over and over again until you feel comfortable doing it and answer your phone.
That's awesome. I agree with all of that. Definitely. Okay. So we've got, I appreciate both of you for being so candid. I do think that there's a lot of people that are unwilling to do certain things. And I think in this business, you have to just, no matter what. And I like the Nike saying, just do it. Just answer the phone. It does, even if it's a hard thing that, hey, the construction process is delayed or no, your offer was not accepted or whatever, Yeah.
Don't put those. I know there's calls that are like, oh God, I don't want to answer this call right now. But if I don't, I'm going to have to answer at some point.
Well, and I feel like it builds. So what I have found is if you know that bad call's coming,
Get them out of the way.
get it out of the way, because if you don't, then it builds and that bad call is then worse later. So I always remember that when I get that phone call and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, and I really want to be like, do I want to deal with this right now? No. Can I deal with it later? Yes. Should I deal with it later? No. You just take it.
Yeah.
You just do it. You just like, don't even try not to even let your brain go there. You just hit the answer button and you just get it over with.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so I have Tanae on the call, and she has a question for you also.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Tanae.
Okay. Hi.
Never met another Tanae ever.
They're hard to come by. So if you were to start your business over, what, if anything, would you guys do differently?
Like our business, probably.
I think if I were to start it over, I would have spent more time putting together my systems. I would have, when I had the time, I would have really taken the time to develop the CRM that works for me, or the client contact list, or the process on how I handle pop buys and like the lead generation, all of those things, all of those little processes that once you get really busy and you're like, oh my gosh, my leads are falling through the cracks because I don't have a good tracking process to maintain them. My my referral business is, could be better because I'm not keeping track of past clients very well. All of those things. I think if I could go back to the day when I wasn't so busy and start all over again, I think that I would build those processes so that they're in place when I started to really need them the most. If that helps.
You and I would have started like 2 years. Yeah, that's.
I would have found
before.
him.
Yeah.
Day one.
That's been the only thing. Yeah.
I would have been like, look, I know the future. I know what's coming. So let's get all the stuff out of the way.
That's what I would start, because if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be dead just because of everything. Oh, that's probably true. I mean, it just came to a point of like, we're very blessed here at 43 to have a family atmosphere, and we are probably the most or the least PC brokerage on the face of this earth. So we're very,
we have fun.
We have a lot of fun. We do. I mean, I'm sent to HR most every day. But
he happens to like HR. She's pretty cool.
Yeah, she is pretty cool. We just go in and she'll break out the whiskey. But it's just, when you have the new construction background that we have here, I mean, we are the mecca of new construction. I started with the prior mecca of new construction, which was John L. Scott Real Estate. And it was more of the hierarchy are taking from the lower part. And I started in 2004. I was just thrown in 2004, and it was like, hey, you learn on the fly. And so, I mean, I'm having groups come in. I got, 5 groups at one time. I'm like, okay, everybody right here. I felt like a tour guide. I'm like, we're going through the models. I can't take all of you separately. Just listen to me. Let's go through it. And it built my business and my craft. But at the same time, it's like, I was making more money than I ever made in my life, but I was making the people that were my managers that really didn't do anything a lot more money. And so that's the thing, that what we do is what we're really proud of is bringing in, talent, and then helping that talent and having them just, mold their craft. And we give them an opportunity at at the same split that her and I are doing. Mm-hmm. And so, that's not how it works, especially with the production builders and stuff that we have here. And a lot of the other builders that are doing higher numbers, because they're basically saying, well, we don't need a real estate agent. We just need a warm body, and here's a salary, and here's a bonus maybe, and here's some benefits. And that's not what any of our clients, any of our builders do. They need us. We're part of the team. We're part of the cog in the wheel. And so when we have agents that come in and we're able to say, you know what, you do this, you prove yourself. We're going to give you this opportunity. Here's $250,000 a year. That's what you're going to make. You sit out there and do this. I mean, because of the opportunity that we have here, and it's amazing. But I mean, I got off tangent there, but yeah, that's.
It's helpful.
You can tell I'm passionate about it. I mean, There's times I can go in for hours and I'll get like weepy just because it's so fun. It's so fun what we do, and to work every day with the people that we work with. And I mean, we couldn't ask for, a better situation.
I think, I don't know that I have any regrets to answer that question. I feel like I carefully thought about the decisions that I made as far as which brokerage I went to. I mean, I was very, I did not view it as the brokerage was interviewing me. I was interviewing them. And I wanted to make sure I got it right the first time, because I had this understanding somehow, I don't know where it came from, but I had this understanding that it might be very expensive and detrimental to the progress that I'm making in building a business to switch brokerages. And so I really felt like that was a huge decision that I needed to make. And I was very, very, very diligent in interviewing all possibilities. I narrowed it down again. And I felt like I made a really good decision with my brokerage right out of the gate. And I feel like that had a lot to do with my success. One thing that I did that I guess if I could say there was a regret, I right off the bat ran out and found a business partner, because for some reason I just felt like that was what you do, right? Like I worked until I was busy, and then I was like, okay, now I need a partner. That's the next step. It wasn't him. So if I could do something different, go back and do it again, I would have been as selective about who I partnered with as I was about which brokerage I joined, because I had 2 failed partnerships before I partnered with Shaun, which is the most amazing partnership ever. So I guess 3rd time's the charm. But that is just as important. Finding the right brokerage and finding the right business partner, I would say, are equally important things. And if I could do that all over again and start all over again, I would have not partnered. I lost a lot of money in the first partnership that I had. I had to pay out a partner that didn't work. And all the leads were coming from me and all the work came from me. And he received residuals for months on all the work that I did. And I lost a lot of money paying him to do nothing. So it's really, really important that you find a really good, when you're ready for that point, that you're very, very, very careful about who you partner with, because it can cost you a ton of drama, a ton of money, a ton of heartache. My second business partnership was even worse, sad to say. We won't even go into that horrible drama. So it was bad. So just really making sure that you're with like-minded people, that you're aligning yourself with people who help you grow, and that you're doing the same. You give back as well. And I think that I was really blessed when I first started, because there was a lot of really great agents here at Better Homes that were able to offer me some kind of mentorship. And now I'm able to give back and do the same thing. So there's a lot of new agents that come in and I'm able to mentor them. And so I think being able to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with those like-minded people, and that you're grasping everything you can from the people who are at a higher level than you, but then you're also giving back to the people who might be at a lower level at that moment than you. And so then you can help balance each other and, think team.
So I love everything you just said. I really do believe, at least in my own career, and I've seen it in other people as successful as you guys are, that the more you give, the more you receive. And I do believe when you're new or nearly new, that whole say yes to everything, answer your phone. The other thing you said was contact 10 people a day. And one of the questions Marina was going to ask, but he's on the phone with some developer, so we'll let him do that. Okay. His question was, how many contacts do you guys believe you make daily in order to maintain your numbers? And would you say most of those calls are incoming or outgoing?
So both, and we'll probably answer this a little differently. So there's going to be 2 sides to this answer for me. One's going to be back when I first started, and one's going to be today. So today, countless contacts are between emails, texts, and phone calls. It starts at about 7 a.m. and it doesn't shut off sometimes until 10 or 11 p.m. at night. And it is all day. Those are both incoming and outgoing. We've got a lot, under construction. We have a lot in escrow. We have a lot of, MLS agents that call us. We have builders that are coordinating build jobs. We've got listings. We've got a lot going on. And so there's a lot of calls coming in. So as far as I don't necessarily run out now. I don't have to be like, okay, I have to make 10 calls a day in order to get my business up and running. I'm just not at that point anymore. So right now what I have to focus on is just you answer your phone every time it rings. And if you need to make a call, you make it immediately and move on to the next thing. You don't let things like that last, because then it will fall through the cracks. And it's not good to not stay on top of the communication. So once you reach a certain point where you've got a lot of balls in the air and you're not necessarily going out and actively lead generating because you have enough coming in just from all the work you've done over several years to build to this point, then it's just a matter of making sure that you're always answering your phone calls, you're always making the phone calls right away, you're getting all the communication, just respond, whether it's text, email, phone calls, like just respond to people and get them what they need and move on to the next thing. But I would say when I first started, I started with a goal of making 10 phone calls a day. That was my goal. What I found for me is that was very unrealistic because I like to talk. So I would call, and the next thing you know, an hour later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just talked to this person for an hour that I haven't talked to in 5 years. And there was all this catching up to do. And oh, by the way, I'm in real estate. And it was very unrealistic because I could not necessarily dedicate 10 hours a day to call 10 people and talk for an hour. So what I decided to do was that the contacts do not have to be phone calls. It can be a note card, it can be an email, it can be a text, it can be any sort of communication like, hey, you're on my mind, I thought about you, I wanted to reach out to you. So what I decided to do was to modify those 10 contacts a day. So I decided 3 of those had to be phone calls. If I'm brand new and I don't have a ton of business, I have 3 hours to sit on the phone and chat and listen to what they've been doing for the last 5 years of their lives. So 3 of them had to be phone calls, and the rest could be a quick text. How you doing? I thought about you today. What's up? What's new? Maybe have a text conversation in between doing some other things, or note cards. I personally, I know this seems super old fashioned. I still love note cards. I still send out a ton of note cards because all of the mail that we get at our homes is bills or junk mail or some sort of sales advertisement type of thing, right? There's just no personal things in your mailbox. I don't know about you. I mean, unless it's like an Amazon box, I don't look forward to going and getting my mail every day. So if I know that there's a possibility that there might be something personal in there, doesn't that make you just a little bit more excited to walk to your mailbox every day? So for me, I like that. And during the COVID thing, one thing that I did is I had a lot of time to sit at home. And so I just started writing note cards, kind of like I was a brand new agent again. I started writing note cards, and I put one of those little emergency packets in every single note card. And I would send out 10 note cards with a little emergency packet in it saying, hey, I hope you're well. I was thinking about you, stay safe, whatever. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a lot of words. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. It can be 3 sentences. Hey, thought about you. Hope you're doing well. By the way, you're awesome. Or sometimes I'll scope them out on Facebook and be like, oh, their daughter just graduated. Hey, congratulations to your daughter. I saw she graduated. Whatever. Find some way to put in some kind of personal touch. But in my mind, 10 contacts is kind of the magic number, but it can be in any way, shape, or form that fits your time, your business, what you need to be doing.
I'll be shorter. So mine, I will call in my whole real estate career in 16 years. And it's because I'm on the new construction side. And so it's like,
it's a little different.
It's a little different. But the biggest thing for me, especially with new construction, get out there and go to the industry functions. You go out there and you meet people. You get your name out there in front of MLS agents. You talk to them about what you have, going on currently, what's coming up in the future. You go to we call the Circle of Excellence here. We call it the Realtor Prom, the awards and everything. You go there and you talk to people, and you'll talk to them on the phone multiple times during the year, but you'll see them face to face maybe once or twice a year. But you catch up. You go to, there's 2 different bar and grills here in town, and one is my office west and one is my office north, and so it's in between.
They're bars.
There's bars there, but it's in between where I'm going to appointments where I'll build job appointments at 6 p.m. at night, and then I live on the other side of the county. And to where I can go there and I can set up my laptop and I can grab a bite to eat and maybe a beer or 2, and then just, talk to people and to see people. And, and the thing is it's funny because real estate agents these are the places that they will take
know
their
where to
clients.
find him.
Yeah, they know where to find me if they can't find me. But they know, and then there's and I meet new people there too. And so if you can do that, you can get your name out there in the industry. You know, I was born and raised here as well. And so right in the Treasure Valley. And I mean, it's a half a degree of separation from Shaun Urwin. And people know that because it's, you know, I know everybody in town. And that's what if you can do that, I mean, you guys are in the Ogden area in Utah. I mean, it's, you know, I would do the same thing there. I mean, it's the same mentality, same type of you know, place like this is.
Network.
Yeah.
Networking, definitely. So Marino Talados, do you have any questions for these guys?
Hi, Shaun and Lisa. Thanks for joining us today. I just want to make a couple of comments. You know, some of the people who've been around forever and some that are just getting into real estate. I love some of your answers. And if people notice that top producers are givers, you know, they share everything. There's really no secrets. It's just you do more of it. And also, people think branding is a big sign. It's the actions that, Shaun, you go out and people meet you and you become talked about. And Lisa, you send out those little cards and people love them. So branding isn't always a sign. It's what you do. You answer your phone. That's amazing. I love calling an agent and it goes into voicemail and they say, leave a message. You know what to do. You know, you need to say, I'm in real estate if you can't pick your phone up. That's part of your branding.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And then say yes to everything. What a great answer. That's wonderful. Anyway, that's just my comments and appreciate it again. Hope you guys out there are listening to all this stuff. It's good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, you both are amazing. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone here on the call does. You know, I do think the basics is say yes to everything. On our call right now, we have a few different people. We have our realtors, we have some potential recruits, and then we also have our lending partner, Fairway Mortgage, who do a lot for us. If there was one thing that both of you, my last question, if there was one thing that both of you could say about Better Homes and Gardens, the actual brand, something you use or something you do that you feel helps your business, what would you say that is?
Okay, say that one more time because
Better Homes and Gardens, the actual brand itself, like we've taken to starting using Pinpoint a lot, things like that. Lisa, what would you say you use that from Better Homes and Gardens that helps you?
Okay, so first of all, the greenhouse is an amazing tool. I really love the magazines. So every single transaction that we have, whether it's a buyer or a seller, no matter where they go, they could be moving out of state and I will track down their address and they get a magazine. I just feel like that is the easiest touch 12 times a year. And people love it. People will send me thank you cards or thank you texts. They're like, oh my gosh, they don't know. I don't tell them that they're getting a magazine. It just shows up in their mailbox. And I really think that people enjoy that. And not everybody's a magazine person, but I think that when it's there, you'll be surprised. I think just the thought, flipping through it, having it available, that's probably one of my very, very favorite things is being able to just surprise people with magazines after the transaction's done. So there's a lot on the greenhouse, like the postcard templates. One thing I've done is, like, I like how easy it is to mail things out. You can get in there and you can set up the whole mailer and mail out postcards. One thing that I've done is set up like emails where sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with real estate per se, it's just staying top of mind. So yeah, for example, one of my favorite ones to send out is every year before fall backward or spring forward. I like to send out a little email to my sphere that says, hey, don't forget to set your clocks back on da 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 da. Or, you know, and it comes with a cute little graphic and you set it all up in greenhouse. And I feel like why reinvent what's already been done for you? That takes a lot of time. And when you've already got all this content, so much content, like insane, you can go down a rabbit hole of content on the greenhouse. And so if you can get on there, find something, brand it for you, you know, it's all branded to you, it's branded to your brokerage, and get that sent out, that's pretty awesome. Zap is another one I use a lot. So I'm a little old fashioned in that I like my contact list to be in Excel as well, because I think it's really easy when I do mail merges, when I do my Christmas cards, things like that. I just feel really comfortable with Excel. But I also utilize Zap. So you can actually upload your Excel file into Zap and have Zap control all of your leads. And from there, you can set people up on email drips, which I do like that for some people. I don't set up all my clients on email drips. I think with everything, you have to use discretion of what people are going to appreciate. I know that there's certain clients where if I start sending them up on email drips, they're going to see me as spamming them and they're not going to appreciate that. I think there's other clients that just feel special that I thought about them and they're like, oh yeah, I want tips on what to do in my spring garden this year. I want tips on how to paint the exterior of my home. And those types of things, if they are brand new buyers, you can set them up on brand new buyer drips, and they have all these different emails that come into their inbox that give them tips on, owning a home, or, seller. If you've got a seller lead that is going to be wanting to sell in the next little while, you can set them up on how to prepare your homes for listing. All these different things. They have all these email campaigns. So I really like that. Another one that I really like is, let's see. The Home Spotter boost. So we actually had one of our builders reach out to us and they're like, are you kidding me? You advertise on KTVB? No agents do that. KTVB is one of the local news channels here. And our ads were showing up on the side of their website, and I didn't know what they were talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, we totally advertise on KTVB. We're awesome. I'm like, what are they talking about? Come to find out that those boosts through HomeSpotter on the BHG company provided page, that will go out to tons of local resources in your area. And you're not the one thinking about it. You're not like, oh, okay, now we got to contact KTVB and place an ad, and we've got to, you just put those boosts on the HomeSpotter website, and then that shoots it out to BHGRE, social media, your social media. There's a little checkbox that you can mark that says to make sure that your seller sees it. So it's kind of a sneaky thing, because somehow it will track down whether it's on their Facebook or whatever. They'll see the ad. They'll make sure, they guarantee that the ad will show up on your seller's page. So that's kind of cool, because then your seller, that's how our builder found us, right? Or found out that we were advertising on KTVB. They saw their home on KTVB, saw the ad, and they were like, oh my gosh, you guys are the coolest realtors ever. And we're like, thanks. Super, super, super easy. So that's another one that I think is pretty powerful because of the reach that it goes. Pinpoint is really cool as well, as far as like being able to really pinpoint like mail distribution, print materials, things like that. So I would say, in fact, I made a little list of all of them. So the Digital Marketing Center I talked about, brand ID and resource guides. So being able to do, those graphics, those holiday graphics, the set your times back, you can brand all of that for yourself. Pinpoint, the BHGRE social tool. So they have all those content ideas. It comes into my email. This is another way that I just do this super easy, where I don't even have to log into Greenhouse. You get those emails from BHG that are like 5 ways to clean your house, or, best meals to make at Thanksgiving, or whatever. I get these newsletters that come in, and there's like 5 or 6 different links, and you can pick the one that you like the most. You click to share it. It goes to your social media, and it's all Better Homes and Gardens, and it's awesome content. And then I feel like that just makes it so much easier. Like, I don't have to think about content. You just share what somebody else is thinking about that. Somebody is making tons of money to make all of that. So you might as well just utilize that, not reinvent the wheel. The Buy BHG, so the magazine subscriptions, the Boost by HomeSpotter, and then, the client discounts. That's another one. So BHG has all these awesome client discounts where you can get discounts on flowers if you want to send them to clients. He's snoring over here. This is my jam. He's like, wow, he totally just leaned over. He's like, this is not Shaun's jam. This is my jam. Yeah. But anyway, so you get all these, like, there's moving discounts. So they partner with all these different companies, and then you can offer those discounts to your clients. You can say, hey, this moving company, if you work with Better Homes and Gardens, you get 20% off your moving fees, or whatever. And I think that's really cool too, because it allows us the opportunity to pass along incentives to our clients that we don't have to think about or pay for, or again, invent. Don't reinvent the wheel. Somebody is spending a lot of time and a lot of money researching what people want, creating this stuff. All you have to do is tap into it and utilize it.
So I appreciate that answer. And all of those items I use all the time. So it's nice to hear somebody else tell people to use them. Because why reinvent the wheel? I agree 1,000%.
Right.
So I have a question on chat from Cherie. If she says this, if you're working from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., how do you manage personal and family time? And you're always answering the phones.
Go first.
Sure, I'll go first.
No, I'll go first.
Okay, you go first.
Mine's easy. So I'm probably undateable, and because I work all the time. I mean, this is the life I've chosen. I don't have kids, so I mean that this is my life. It's not normal at all, and I try to get away from the phone, but I'm addicted to it. So I start to shake when my phone. Like I probably answered 15 text messages and 14 emails and missed 7 calls while I've been here. It just never stops.
Right.
You build something like that.
Yeah.
Her in a different way. I mean, she's got kids. She has those responsibilities, and as a partnership, because I have that freedom, I'm able to help with certain things that she can't pick up or whatever. We're kind of like marriage partners or yeah.
He's my work husband.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I do think that's a great question. So I feel like one of the key things in life is to try to find balance. And I'm constantly searching for balance. So I'm definitely no pro. There's times when I feel very imbalanced in one way or the other, and I have to recorrect myself. I usually get up, when my kids were in school, it was a lot easier because it was like, I would just tell, people just kind of knew. They knew, don't call Lisa before 9 a.m. unless it's an emergency or it's Shaun. If somebody did call me before 9 a.m., I answered because they just kind of knew, like, Lisa's she's a mom, she's got kids to get off to school. So I think people just kind of understand that when you get to know people on a personal level, they start to just kind of respect you on a personal level. And so I do think it's important to kind of get personal with people, and to be able to say, hey, like, here's my life. What's your life like? So out of respect, I didn't really get a lot of phone calls before 9 a.m. when my kids were in school. And if I did, I answered it because I knew like it was something important. But so that time with the kids in the morning, that was my time. And then I got them off to school, and then I just tried to be as productive as I could during the day because I'm like, I don't have my kids, so this is when I have to get stuff done. So I didn't fart around. It's like, this is productivity time. This is when I get everything done that I need to get done today, because when it's time for me to go home, I'm still going to be available on my phone, and I'm still going to be able to hop in and answer a quick email here and there if it needs to be answered right away. But for the most part, I need to be cooking dinner, and I need to be asking my kids how their day went. I need to be taking them to dance, and I need to be, doing these other things. And so it is tough to balance it, but I do try really hard to balance it. And I think that most of the time I do a pretty good job. And I think that a lot of that is just having people kind of understand what your life is like, and then they start to kind of respect it. But one thing that I tell people is I say, when I start working with somebody, I let them know I will always answer my phone if I'm available. And if I am not available, I promise I will call you back as soon as I'm available. And so it is really important to always answer your phone, but sometimes I'm on the phone with someone else and I can't get over, right? I just can't. Or maybe I'm right in the middle of helping my daughter with a math problem and I really need to help her with that math problem. So I will always call them right back. Okay, I don't help her with math. I don't know how to math, but whatever, Shaun. But you know what I mean? I might be doing homework or whatever. So there are moments when you can't answer your phone, and I will always respond with a text and I'll say, I'll call you back shortly. But I preface people, I let them know if I am available, I will always answer my phone, and I do. But if I'm unavailable in that moment, then I just let them know I will always call you right back. And then I do, right? So sometimes that might look like I'm in the middle of dinner with my family. I'm not going to answer my phone right at that moment. So I'll reject the call with a text and say, hey, can I give you a call back right after dinner? People will say, sure, absolutely. If that gets to be a little late, then I'll text them and say, I know it's 9 o'clock at night. Is it too late for me to call you back? And most of the time people say no, but if they do, if they're like, yeah, I'm getting into bed, it's not a big deal, it can wait till tomorrow anyways. So there is some balancing that has to do. So when we say always answer your phone, it's a lot easier for him to always answer his phone because he doesn't have a lot of like kid things that he's balancing. I feel like I do a pretty good job of it, but it's unrealistic to be able to always answer. Sometimes you are on the other line. Sometimes you're doing this. We're in a Zoom meeting right now. We're not answering our phones. So I guess that is something that you just have to balance and try to understand where and how that kind of fits into your life. But the key thing is that your family should always be number one, always. So make them feel number one. If you have to call somebody back, call them back. But there are times when we're on the phone together at 1 a.m, answering emails that maybe we didn't get to and going over things, and he's telling me about what he's got and I'm telling him what I've got. You know, I put my kids to bed and sometimes I'm working 2 or 3 or 4 hours after my kids are in bed just to get caught up, because I always say, don't wait for tomorrow to do the things that can be done today, because every single thing that didn't get done today that gets carried over tomorrow, you don't have time for that either. Tomorrow's a whole new day with whole new things.
Well,
so,
neither one of us sleep if we have that happen.
Yeah, I can't carry things over. So there's, you know, some days are busier than other days. And there's certain days where I'm like, gosh, this is kind of a slower day. If it's a slower day, I'm like, kids, let's go on a bike ride. Kids, let's go hit the green belt. Like, take advantage of those days too. Those days when maybe the phone isn't ringing as much, go hang out with your family and get those days in. Because then when you have a day where it's just crazy and your phone won't stop ringing, you have to tell them, look, today I need to be on my phone. Yesterday we were on the green belt. Today I have to be on my phone. So it's all about balance. And then you answer those calls, and sometimes you're working late and sometimes it's midnight or 1 a.m. and it's just the nature of the beast if you're going to be super busy.
Definitely. So it sounds to me, you still respond even if you don't answer. You can let them know, hey. And I also do, I'm a big believer in letting people know about your personal life. Because if they know about your personal life, then it's a more personal relationship. They become a lifetime client and you respect their time, they respect your time, and it's great.